Montalvo Broadcasting Network. Support MBN, Montalvo Broadcasting Network, and shop with us over at Montalvo Store. Go to ebay.com and search in the advanced search. Type in Montalvo Store. Now support Montalvo Broadcasting Network. We have a wide array of books on conspiracy, apparel, and much more. Support your favorite radio station, Montalvo Broadcasting Network, by visiting Montalvo Store on ebay.com.
Tribal, primitive, rustic, Burning Man, punk rock, conceptual subculture for the edgiest, most cutting-edge designs of jewelry today. Go to etsy.com/shop/conceptual subculture, or one word, either by going to Google or search Etsy, ETSY.com, and type in one word, conceptual subculture. You will find the hottest designs using natural stones with wire wrap rings, rough, raw, genuine, semi-precious gemstone jewelry, solid sterling silver, copper, leather, orgonite, bracelets, pendants, chokers, men's copper cups with sterling accents, eco-friendly, repurposed, original, one-of-a-kind design earrings. Support MBN by going to Conceptual Subculture on Etsy. Go to Antique Obsessions for the hottest in jewelry, antiques, repurposed, solid sterling silver, one-of-a-kind, handmade by Bruce and Jaja. Go to our Facebook, which is Antique Obsessions, or you can go to Etsy.com and go to Antique Obsessions, one word, or type it into your Google and find us there. Thanks.
The stylish and hippest clothing around. Go to Poshmark.com. Poshmark.com at Anti-Culture. At Anti-Culture. The coolest, hippest apparel on the internet. Poshmark.com at Anti-Culture. Bruce Montalvo.
Continues to spread conspiracy theories.
Penchant for promoting bogus conspiracies as though they were fact.
About his conspiracy theory.
This is CNN, a network of China Broadcasting System.
Bruce Montalvo is the only radio talk show host that's not controlled. You're listening to the Bruce Montalvo Show.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Bruce Montalvo Show, a very special episode with a very special guest. It's November 12th, 2019, and joining me is author, lecturer. You may have heard him, seen him in person at places like Contact in the Desert. We will be discussing a topic that goes back to human antiquity. This is Michael Cremo will be joining me. The topic is giants, the folklore of giants, the mythology of giants. Of course, there's ogres, there's monsters, the Nephilim, demons, all that. And to pretty much let us know the 411 on giants, the mythology on that. Joining us is Michael Cremo. Hello, Mr. Cremo. How are you?
Good to be with you and all your listeners. I'm doing fine.
Great. It's great to have you. So tell us how you got involved in the study of studying giants, talking about this type of research. I believe your name in Hindu or what is it, Hindu, right? Not Buddhist. It's your name is your devotional name is Guru Takarma Dasa, right?
Druta Karma Dasa. Yes, I'm a practitioner of Bhakti Yoga, and my guru, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, gave me that name when he initiated me. But I think the main thing that has to do with this conversation is that a lot of my ideas about these things that we're talking about, extreme human antiquity, giants. I should say I'm not primarily a giant researcher. Most of my research is focused on archaeological evidence for extreme human antiquity, evidence showing that humans like us have been present on this planet for far longer periods than most scientists now believe. But I am also interested in this topic of giants. And by that, I would mean skeletal remains or other kinds of evidence showing that there were people, say, 10 feet tall or taller.
Right.
There's a lot of people living today who are 7 feet tall.
Right. You see it in basketball, right? You see guys like Yao Ming and all these other guys.
In the NBA, sure. Yeah. And then beyond that, you've got a few people that are living today that are 8 feet tall. And I think there's even this one fellow in Mongolia, I guess it is, who's about 9 feet tall, but you don't see anybody 10 feet tall today. So, if you've got evidence for that, that's really quite astonishing, I think.
Right. Well, there's a lot in the mythology also, in the stories. I mean, in Judaism, you have the Amalek. I've heard that they're referred to as giants. And then, of course, even children's stories like Jack and the Beanstalk. So those are all like clues, I believe. Yeah.
And also in the ancient Sanskrit writings of India, the historical writings tell us that in previous ages, living things, including human beings, were bigger than they are today. And there's actually even one account of one such giant person from a previous age having gone to sleep, kind of an Indian version of Rip Van Winkle. He went to sleep in a mountain cave, and thousands of years later he woke up and saw everything as much smaller than previously. So he was kind of like a holdover from that previous age. And it's even just part of, you could say, ordinary Orthodox science that before 5 or 10,000 years ago, living things were bigger than they are today. For example, I live in California, in the Sierra Nevada mountains. You've got the California redwood trees.
That's right.
And these are the biggest living things on Earth. Some of them are over 300 feet tall. Their trunks are so wide.
Right.
They even once or twice cut a tunnel so a road could go through. You could drive through one of these trees, and the elephants were bigger thousands of years ago. Right. The bears were bigger. The wolves were bigger. It's just even part of ordinary science that things were bigger in these previous ages.
Right. Some believe, I've found some research, alternative research that, that they don't want to really discuss, the mainline scientists, about a skeletal remains possibly being like the mountains themselves. You know, we look at a mountain range and we'll see, wow, that kind of looks like a human body or something, or a human skull. I mean, some of these land formations, they look like skeletal remains, or like giant steps, you know, in places in the Middle East, giant steps. Who built those there, and who were they for, right?
Yeah, there are things like that. But, I mean, there are some, I mean, these days, I mean, because of, you know, Photoshop and things like that, you get so many pictures of things.
But I have seen some of these, like out here in Arizona. I've seen them, you know, with my own eyes also, or when I'm flying over something, I'm like, wow, that, or these giant tree trunks. I mean, it looks like the mountains were like giant trees at one point. Like you were saying, everything was bigger at one point.
Yeah, I think so. You know, one of the best scientifically documented cases of evidence for giants comes from a place in France called Castelnau. It's in southern France. And in the year 1890, there were some reports published in scientific journals that a French archaeologist or anthropologist, Dr. Lapouge, had found bones of a large-size human at this place in France, and photographs were published. He didn't discover complete skeletons, but he found a thigh bone or a femur and a humerus, the upper arm bone, the part that goes from the shoulder down to the elbow, that bone. And, you know, if anthropologists have a femur, a thigh bone, they can tell you how tall the person would have been that had a thigh bone that size. It's possible for them to do
estimate,
that.
Right.
And they found that the human being that had the thigh bone of the size of the one Dr. Lapouge found at this Castelnau site in southern France would have had to been 11 feet tall.
Wow.
So that is one of the best documented cases of evidence for giants that I've seen. It would be really interesting if somebody could track down those bones. They're probably in some museum in France somewhere.
Right, and then again, how authentic could those bones really be? You know, I mean, but what strikes me a lot is the mythology, because it's the truth is hidden in the mythology, and it's everywhere. And I mean, in the Hindu mythology, and it pretty much just lets you know Jack and the Beanstalk could have been real.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wouldn't even use the term mythology for these things. I would just call them accounts.
Right.
Yeah, they're just as much accounts as anything else. But you were mentioning the Hindu or the Indian school of thought. So yeah, in the Puranas, the historical writings of ancient India, it does say that in the past, humans were much larger than they are today by quite a bit. I mean, you hear about these things all the time. You know, my books are published in a lot of different languages. One of them is Russian. So once I was on a lecture tour in Russia, and then somebody told me in a mosque in Samarkand, which is in Central Asia, they have the skeleton of a saint who is 24 feet tall.
Wow.
You know, I mean, that would really be amazing. But like you said, yeah, that's one kind of evidence. the evidence from these ancient wisdom traditions, from these traditional sources of knowledge that have been passed down from generation to generation. There are also accounts of these things. So you've got multiple lines of evidence. You've got the fossil evidence, which is, like you say, it can be problematic sometimes, difficult to track down.
Right.
That is a fact. And this evidence from the Bible and other ancient texts from cultures around the world also speak of these things. So that's another source of evidence, definitely.
Absolutely. Now, you've been writing books, Mr. Cremo, since 1993 or before that. I mean, one of your biggest hits was one of your first books, I believe, Forbidden Archaeology. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, another thing many of these ancient wisdom traditions, including the spiritual tradition of ancient India, tell us, is that humans like us have been around on this planet since the very beginning. And it's something quite different than we get from modern science, which tells us humans like us came into existence between 200 and 300,000 years ago, having evolved from some more primitive ape-like ancestor. So when I first started hearing about these things from these ancient Indian sources, I began to think, well, is there any physical evidence for it? So I thought, along with my co-author of that book, Forbidden Archaeology, Richard Thompson, we thought, well, let's do a little bit of research. So I kind of thought, okay, maybe we'll do a few days research. We'll find some interesting things. We'll write a short article about it, and then we'll go on to something else. But when I started that research myself, I found one case led to another. There are hundreds of cases of archaeologists, geologists, paleontologists finding human bones, human artifacts, human footprints that go back tens of millions, even hundreds of millions of years. So that original, let's say, 8 days of research turned into 8 weeks, and the 8 weeks turned into 8 months, and the 8 months turned into 8 years, because one case just led to another, enough to fill up a 900-page book with the title Forbidden Archaeology.
Wow.
And why do I call it Forbidden Archaeology? It's like, because you will not find these things mentioned in today's textbooks. So there's been some knowledge filtering going on. We're not being presented with the complete set of facts that we can use to make our conclusions about our past, which is very important to know.
The origins of humanity, the origins of the human race, as you've put it, are the origins of humanity, do you believe they trace back just solely to the giants?
No, I think there are. This is information that's come to me through my study of the ancient wisdom tradition of India, the Vedic tradition. It tells us there are hundreds of thousands of human-like species scattered throughout the universe.
Wow.
So I think there are a variety of human-like species, and they can be of different sizes, because time is cyclical, and in different time cycles,
but they're human-like.
Conditions are different, and the forms of the human bodies may differ according to the part of the time cycles that you're in. But But the basic point is that any kind of body, whether it's a human body or an ape body or a cat body or a dog body or a bird body or an insect body or a fish body or whatever, it's a vehicle for a conscious self that's designed to give that conscious self a certain type of experience. So I think the human form has always been around, but the real self is the conscious individual person. You call it the soul if you want to use religious terminology, but I prefer to call it the conscious self. The conscious self is in the human body or the plant body or the insect body or the animal body, just like a driver is in a car. Mm-hmm. The driver isn't the car. The driver's just using the car as a vehicle. So ultimately, I would say all of us are beings of pure consciousness. In that sense, we're all extraterrestrials. None of us is from this world of matter. We just kind of come here. And when we come here, we get these vehicles made of matter, human vehicles, plant vehicles, bird vehicles, whatever, to use when we're here. It's like when you go to an amusement park, you go on a ride, you get in a vehicle, you go on the roller coaster.
Right. That's amazing. That being said, do you believe in some type of intelligent design? I mean, everything seems so intellectually in place.
I think so. I don't think we live in an accidental universe. I think the universe has been made with a purpose. It's meant to give us certain kinds of experiences that will push us in the direction of understanding. We ultimately come from some higher level of reality, but the form of life in which we can understand that is the human form. And I think it's been around since the very beginning. It's like, say like we make a space station and we put it in orbit around the Earth. We don't put the space station up there and then just wait for the chemicals in it to combine into some single cell living entity that will gradually evolve to the human form and be the astronauts that will populate that space station. No, it's the space station is designed, the presence of the astronauts in it is designed. Of course, sometimes now they send up other things besides human astronauts. They send plants, they send animals, things up with them as well. But point is that it's not an accident. It doesn't happen by accident. So I don't think our human form of life is an accident. I don't think our universe is an accident. I don't think the kinds of experiences that we have are just cosmic coincidences and accidents. I think there is a plan behind the whole thing, some kind of design to it.
Right. They used to send monkeys up there, the Russians, with a big CCP, sticker on their head.
Yeah, I kind of remember that those days. Yeah, they were. Goodness. I think they sent little dogs, little monkeys. Then Yuri Gagarin, their first cosmonaut. But it's not actually the first cosmonaut. The ancient Sanskrit writings of India have extensive accounts of spacecraft. They call vimanas. That's the Sanskrit name for them. They could travel from planet to planet and even from dimension to dimension.
That's right. The Mexican folklore has Pakal, right? They've heard of that. He blasted
What are
off.
those?
He was like a king that's portrayed in a spaceship, blasting off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Right, blasting off, trying to see if he could get past the Van Allen belt or the firmament. Anyway, it's great. It's been great to have you on, Michael. Tell us more about where my listening audience can find your books. Where you're on Amazon, you're on all over the place, right? They can find your titles.
Yeah, kind of like home base for that would be my website, mcremo.com. MCREMO.com. That's a good place to start. But yeah, you're right. They're also available on Amazon, Kindle, and ebook form, but like I said, the home base would be my website, mcremo.com. And I also have a Facebook page. It's called Michael Cremo. It's really me, because sometimes authors have somebody else run their website, their public figure website. I do my own, so I do all the posting.
That's awesome. Now, I wanted to ask you before we finish our interview. You are a strong proponent of against the Darwinian theory, right?
Let's put it this way. I think he's had a long run, and it's time for something new.
Right.
We've got to evolve beyond Darwinian evolution.
Well, you know what I don't understand is that how could we have evolved from something that's still running around scratching itself right now in the zoo, peeling bananas? I mean, technically, wouldn't they be gone? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean that's one argument. In my book, we mentioned forbidden archaeology, but I'm also author of a book called Human Devolution.
That's
a
right.
Vedic alternative to Darwin's theory. So yeah, people could have a look at that if they want to hear my alternative to the Darwinian theory of evolution.
Right, they definitely got to look into that. Well, it's been great having you on, Mr. Cremo. Thank you for being on the show, and we look forward to having you on again if you'd like to be on.
Oh, sure, definitely. Yeah, you know who to get in touch with to set it up. So
that's right.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely.
Okay, are you going to be talking at the Contact in the Desert or Conscious Life Expo? I've seen you many times at these events. You give great speeches.
We'll see what's happened. I'm going to be speaking at an event called Earth Origins that's going to be held in Sedona.
I've heard of that, yeah.
In May. The announcement for that will be coming out in a little bit of time. And I think Eric von Daniken's also going to be speaking at that event, along with some others. And Contact in the Desert is a possibility. We'll see how that works out. And you're right, I have spoken at those consciousness events a few times, and we'll also see how that works out. Yeah, because I've got a kind of a schedule, and sometimes I can do them, and sometimes I can't.
Right, you're fully booked. Well, it's been great having you on, and we look forward to talking to you again.
Okay, Bruce.
Thank you, Mr. Cremo. Talk to you soon. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. The giants are real, and you did not evolve from a monkey, okay? So don't let them peel your brain like a banana. No, real great interview. The giants of folklore are here they're still here somewhere in some interdimensional freaking portal. They're ready to stomp you out. Like Jack and the Beanstalk. Bruce Montalvo signing out. Thank you for listening. You've been listening to the Bruce Montalvo Show.
Montalvo Broadcasting Network.